This is the real dark side of the cycle that we're entering now, which is why I'm so frustrated that the oxygen has been taken out of the room by the CVA.
Yeah, I see it as a distraction when we come together at Expo to really, and Coffee Fest here in Portland recently, to kind of share what the biggest, greatest needs are. And right now it's survival. And then to have this, somewhat of a controversy for sure, and distraction and confusion, like I said earlier. It's not like the producers aren't aware of this. They're very tuned into this and going, what the hell is going on with this move and other movements? And it's put people on notice that they need to be aware and be vocal about their dissatisfaction with not addressing the real issues that we have that we're facing.
If you're looking for a free way to support the work we do, bringing you conversations with our amazing guests on the Daily Coffee Pro podcast by Map It Forward, please subscribe, follow, and rate us wherever you listen to the podcast. It really helps us out. It's also a huge help if you share this episode and our social media content with your coffee friends. For links, check the show notes.
Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and this is unfortunately the last episode of a series that has been really, truly Darrin. I'm so grateful that we had this conversation. This is one of those conversations that I hope people take away from this, and they think of the many little jewels of questions that are left out there for them to chew on and be curious about, because we have asked more questions than we've answered, and that's intentional. We want people to just run with those questions. Take some of the things that we've said and join some of the dots, folks. That's something that we really, really want you to start thinking about. What are some of those things that we've said that don't quite make sense? And in this series, as you know, we've said previously in this series, we're talking about the politics in coffee pre and post Houston. And in this episode, we're talking about what does the future of coffee hold. Now, as we look at joining these dots, Darrin, I'd like to ask you a question about what does the future of these non-profits and all of this politicking that's going on around the SCA and the CQI and the Cup of Excellence and what appears to me as a kind of, in my opinion, monopoly or consolidation. Like, what does the future look like, in your opinion, for these entities?
Oh, that's a great question. And I really, if I had a crystal ball, I would be using it right now. But I can, I get the sense that the fallout after all of these decisions in Houston are now, they need to be activated. And that's where we're all kind of sitting back and kind of wondering what's going to happen next, who's going to be impacted the most in a positive or negative way. But what is pretty clear is that there definitely is a kind of power dynamic that is either intentionally or unintentionally happening. And that, to me, creates confusion, right? We're confused. And that to that end, when there's a level of confusion, one starts to consider lots of different options and lots of different threats, opportunities, strengths, weaknesses. All of that comes into play when you're at such a pivotal time in the industry.
Given this coffee crisis that we're experiencing, and for those who are listening to this podcast for the first time, the way that we define coffee crisis is the price crisis, the logistical crisis, the issues that are going on with regards to the impact of climate on production, We're talking about the labor crisis. We're talking about the cost of living crisis. We're talking about all of these converging all at the same time to create what is an overarching crisis in coffee. Now, we're not saying that the crisis is only happening in coffee, but there is absolutely a crisis that's going on in coffee. And it is not just being felt in the consuming side of things and not just being felt at the origin side of things. It's being felt across the entire supply chain. Darrin, with the uncertainty that exists in this moment for coffee, do you see that the things that we're focusing on as an industry right now, are we going to solve any of those problems?
Well, I think some of them are at least being addressed and recognized because they just aren't going away. Whether we've actually succeeded in some of those particular instances, I can't say that we've, mission complete. It would be incorrect of me to say, oh yeah, we figured out the labor issue and we know the next generation is going to embrace coffee production and build on the whether it's a family business and the growth of that being passed on to the next generation because it's lucrative and it's important and it's legacy. No, that has not been figured out, and that is increasingly becoming extremely difficult. And it is, I think, one of the biggest issues that people don't talk about is we're looking at technology to solve the problems of picking coffee, processing coffee, and not the actual human factor of what coffee is. And we are in this age with AI and technology and robotic, modules that I've seen, not so much in the coffee sector, but in just other areas that kind of scare me because it's taking the human factor out, and that is sad. And then we're not even talking about climate and how do we fix that when we don't have governments that even think that it is true or real, especially our government in the U.S. And then all of the other chaos that the tariffs have kind of in an immediate, quick, right now in my face, in our face, in the industry that we're dealing with, that then continue to cripple the efforts of, let's say, the consuming side to fix their own level of crisis, but the bigger crisis that is the actual producer. So
we've heard many times people come on this podcast and say these are people who are agronomists and agricultural engineers come on and say that we've got maybe 20 harvests left in coffee. And not just coffee, most agricultural products. We're in a real food security crisis if we don't address it right now. What do you think how do we go about approaching fixing, just creating the awareness in our industry that that's a real thing, or creating more awareness in our industry that if we don't start paying producers what producers need just to keep farming happening, that we're not going to have the rest of the industry that survives?
Well, I think providing really honest and clear data that is undeniable, that from a climate perspective and from an economic perspective and how they actually are interconnected, that information, I feel like it's not as socialized as it needs to be, and it seems like it's in the hands of few, and it doesn't serve the greater population in need, and that's dangerous. Denying that access to build a future, and obviously we have organizations that are trying very hard to work around breeding projects, climate-resistant coffee, Robusta as possibly a future due to global warming. These are factors that are in play and they're real and they're happening, but are they happening fast enough? And my feeling, those other guests that you've had on that say 20, 30 years, that information has been out that the coffee Arabica could be gone in 50 years or in our lifetimes. I don't think I'll make it to 100, but I, it couldn't be more clear, and yet it's just not clear. And other mechanisms, I think it's a slippery slope, because if consumers think, oh, it's either going to be so expensive, I'm not going to drink coffee anymore, which people think that, coffee is recession proof, and it historically has mostly been. But if roasters trade down on quality and price to get other coffee, which compounds the problem for producers, leaves a lot of people out of the ability to be in the game and play and be active. I see, an environment where people will just do less of the thing that they enjoy. If it's coffee or chocolate, that's another industry that's really getting crushed. It's not impossible to turn it around and fix it, but it has to be really immediate and realized for what it is. Even if we're in political times where we have coffee that can't ship, it can't go through ports, it can't leave certain areas of the world due to conflict, and these are being talked about right now, whether it's oil or coffee. Those are realities. Those aren't estimates. There's not projections. Those are real things that are happening. And
it's not just coffee, right? Like if they close the Strait of Hormuz here, I'm in the UAE, if they close that, that's like 90% of China's oil. That's, a big portion of access to a lot of energy for a lot of countries. It's a lot of trade. 20% of the world's trade goes through there, I believe. So if that's what's going on just from one strait being closed, and then we include in that also that the impact of climate change on the Suez Canal and how that's restricting trade. We haven't even talked about coffee. All of this stuff impacts coffee, all of it.
Yep. And even with exports out of East Africa moving into Europe and Germany and getting cross-docked and resold, if that was to stop completely or partially, that again has an immediate impact. And this is the thing I tried to make clear on a recent program that I was on, that we really are at a point where we might not be able to, if these activities around USAID and also the tariffs go up from the 10% that they're currently at. I think there are going to be a lot of companies that are at zero margin, and they're going to get out before a producer's going to say, I don't want to grow coffee anymore. It'll happen a lot faster. And at least from what I'm hearing and what I've been listening to other people that are smaller roasters that are like, we can't absorb that. That is our margin. It's gone. We can't operate. And it's already, like, it's now. It's, there are invoices.
It's here.
It's here. And people are saying, well, we have to kind of get ready. I'm like, oh, it's a little bit too late to get ready.
2018 was when it was time to get ready.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
The number one inquiry that I'm getting for consulting at the moment is it's very strange. It goes something like, we just bought a coffee roasting company that's 30 years old, or we just bought a coffee roasting company that's 15 years old, and we don't know anything about coffee, but they showed us their books and it all looked really good on paper, but now that we're buying it and we've been operating it for a few months, we can't understand how they were making ends meet.
Wow.
It is hard to have these conversations with people and to show them the reality of what's happening. and what's ahead of them if they want to, they've paid a premium price for a business that on paper looked really great and was sold most likely by a company who realized exactly what you're saying, which is, I've got to get out now. If I get out now, I'll at least be able to cut my losses, get something for it, and be able to sit out the next couple of years before I figure out what to do next. This is the real dark side of the cycle that we're entering now. Which is why I'm so frustrated that the oxygen has been taken out of the room by the CVA.
Yeah, I see it as a distraction when we come together at Expo to really, and Coffee Fest here in Portland recently, to kind of share what the biggest, greatest needs are. And right now it's survival. And then to have this, somewhat of a controversy for sure, and distraction and confusion, like I said earlier. It's not like the producers aren't aware of this. They're very tuned into this and going, what the hell is going on with this move and other movements? And it's put people on notice that they need to be aware and be vocal about their dissatisfaction with not addressing the real issues that we have that we're facing.
In your mind, what does the coffee industry look like in 5 years from now?
Well, we're already seeing consolidation, mergers with companies. Some of them are, designed, at least in the U.S., a little bit more uniquely. And it's not just roasters. I mean, you have exporters that have been absorbed, importers that have been absorbed. They're still conducting their mission, but they were perceived to be independent. So it's just a lot of consolidation and a lot of companies that are just shuttering. And coffee for sure, but the example here in Portland with the restaurant industry is just, it's terrible to see how many restaurants have gone under every week. There's a running list. And during COVID, we expected that to happen, but it's like the pandemic didn't really actually hit the food and beverage and the service industry until like money. Really, yeah.
Because the bailout money.
Yes. Yeah. It was like, it was a Band-Aid to a huge, cut or wound. So yeah.
Okay. This has been a fascinating series. Thank you again, Darrin. We have a new question that we ask people at the end of a series, and I'm going to ask you now. So when the future version of Darrin comes back and watches this series, what do you want? What do you hope for him?
That I've learned a lot more than I think I know. and that I can maybe be a little kinder to myself.
Yeah, I hope so.
Like kind of that idea, that self-compassion idea is really important to me. And that I'll actually be to really come through on that. Yeah, maybe if that might be my answer.
I hope so. And I hope that we're somewhere fantastic around the world, sipping on a great coffee, and maybe some of the things that we spoke about in this series didn't end up happening. Hopefully things go in a much better direction, and the future version of you and the future version and I get to look back at this version of you and I and say, you kids, you were just not optimistic enough. Let's hope. So, right. Darrin, if people want to get in contact with you, what's the best way to do that?
One of the easiest way is to contact me through my email at cityfulpress@gmail.com, and that's CITYFULPRESS, and LinkedIn, the usual spots, I guess. So
great. We'll have links in the show notes, folks. And you should really, if you get the chance, check out Darrin's LinkedIn and some of the work he's done. He's a real asset to this industry. I'm deeply grateful to know you. I'm grateful for always your support, Darrin. And I am glad that you're in our industry. I believe our industry is better for you being in it. So thank you for all the work that you've done over the many decades that you've been in the industry. There's only one last thing to do. Will you please honor us, sir?
Sure. Peace, love, and peanut butter.
Have an amazing rest of your day, everyone. Bye.
This episode is part of a 5-part series produced by Mapper Forward. Check the full playlist and guest details in the show notes, as well as how you can support our work in the coffee industry. Become a premium YouTube subscriber, explore our Patreon and any brands we've partnered with to bring you this podcast. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really does help us grow our audience.